Doing? Having a good evening? Well, it's going to get better. My name is Sharabella Feeney. I'm here to briefly introduce Glenn Hardin. Glenn asked me, he was talking to me and asked me to smile my most Italian smile, and I said, okay, it's a deal, so I have to do it. Anyway, I guess I'll start by saying there was an ad in the Chronicle talking about the reading tonight, and says the legendary Glenn Hardin, and he says he's not dead yet. So watch out. His work continues, and he's working on a new one that's going to be out in the near future. I can't really introduce Glenn and his work in a few minutes. The list is long, he's done a lot, and he's accomplished a lot. But his bio, a shortened bio, is on the table if you'd like to take it, and read a little bit of the story of what he's done. All I can say right now is that his work is transformative, really. His words and his poetry is, and has been for me and many others. It really is like a page that you live. Like as you read it, you live and you breathe it. And that's the case with me, and I know that you will feel the same hearing it tonight. He's going to read from his latest book, Bad Mustache, a few poems. And I guess I should say, just get ready and fasten your seatbelt. It's going to knock your socks off. So I leave all the history out for you to read later, and we'll just invite Glenn Hardin up here. So there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sharon. So this is, if you haven't seen it over there, this is Bad Mustache. And I published it about a year ago. And so I'll read a few poems from it. About 30 minutes work. And I like to start off usually with this one poem. And I have it marked, but then I lost it. Da-da-da-da-da. I thought I had it marked. This is what I try to avoid. That's why I got all these little markers in here to do, so I won't do this and burden you all with a deadening silence.
Which one?
I want to read another, what is it?
The No History?
I don't care. This is called Back for a Kiss. Let's do this. Back for a kiss. Because he hurts first off, and his body in decline is a warp on his mind heals itself backward. Coiled gray cells bringing down the house. That Daffy Duck, the same as always. That laughing man, his house of pain, a house of cards, his big bruise of a mouth, the kind of smile his face will remember when sorrow comes back for a kiss. My idea is that if y'all want to respond, you ought to respond. If you like to sit there in silence, that reminds me that that you might be from New York. But if you're from Texas and you've heard Van Morrison a little bit, or Stevie Ray Vaughan, you ought to stand and applaud when you hear something good. I hope I'm reading you something good. And if you hear it and you want to grunt or groan, go right ahead and do it. And applaud at the end if you want to. I like it. This is when I was looking for. I write a lot about God. I was a Baptist preacher one time before I learned to cuss and drink again. And I have this sort of Baptist preacher presentation kind of thing. And so this is called Bloody Thoughts and All. Here I am again. Here I am again. Broken on the wheel that keeps rolling me over myself. Loop-de-loop and cracked up in the bargain. The ready servant waiting it out with a fatty bundle of dreams. The minutes passing little jokes. Here I am, bloody thoughts and all, working up under myself, looking for a tender breath, looking for a tender death to feed me. And there I go, my little pockets full. The distance calls my name, but it's too late. I'm not God. God's not God. The furtive workings of the shadow of hearts grandstands my prayer, my hands a beggar's arch. But my naturally occurring life is my best offer. A stump boom extravaganza of me falling, of me getting back up and falling back down. The oxidizing echo of laughter, God's answer. Amen. There we go. Thank you very much. Y'all think Donald Trump is a Nazi?
I'm not answering that.
This is called All I Can Do. I can see the river's face up ahead, and she can see mine right back. But in rows among cabbages, my heart does a fault line, and I'm holding forth in the manner of the ancients, pebbles rolling off my tongue. My eyes radically broken, I work my murky truth for every juicy aftertaste. I can tell it's not right, but the end of days steals up backward like my own shadow from out of nowhere. And it's all I can do to remember my next line. It's all I can do to breathe, but I do, though the drama churns me up to fit. This blue death nags me true to form then. This blue death nags me true to form then. But I believe the smell of cabbage cooked with a shin of pork will heal the blood of its fear. With a hard frown, I look at my choices. I can feel unfriendly eyes watching, but I give up on the pebbles. I back it up one genome at a time into the heart's cave, into a bedrock aura that cradles a bit of song. So I can laugh at the hook in the devil's hand. So I can mark death on his bad beetle brow as if he were a slave in a market in dog hell. That's how I know there is no last act. The way the river the way the river keeps talking back. Amen. Thank you. So, I had a cat named Haley. And I was living in Bisbee, Arizona, and the house sat down on the ground, down on the ground. And when the pigs came through at night, those little mountain pigs, they always came through on the same little trail. And one night Haley just got tired of it. She went to the window and she got after him. This poem is for Haley. In a distant bed, roses grow old against the window pane, and soft knots hold me in place, and the linen wears thin to rub me near bloody, as my stumps of life learn new rules. My feelings here are no longer my feelings. They're part of the machine that holds my breath. In another bed, my picture takes my place, and no one can tell the difference. They move me from room to room and marvel that I never complain. My pheromones evaporate and I begin to smell like photographic acids, not quite dead, not alive to notice, while the world goes on around me. Thank you very much by itself. In my own bed, God bodies sleep next to me. They tell me the purest light at the end is wishful thinking. They say heaven is a four-poster with permanently wrinkled sheets. Sheets that flesh out the soul with etchings from the world between. So I lie awake with my mutilations and work a comfort spot for my nervous lumps of heart. Amen. 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 This is a little haiku. And I'm supposed to say it twice. I'm supposed to do haiku twice. Weapons at the ready, he drags to the gate his loneliest appetites. Weapons at the ready, he drags to the gate his loneliest appetites. Now that's an American haiku, and they don't work the way the Japanese write haiku. They have this little break in the middle, and that's just a joke that drunk poets tell each other on the side of the mountain. But I don't do that, so I don't tell that little joke. This one is called The Wind is Calm. If they pull you out of the womb, hiney winder first and weeks early, it's going to tilt a balance. The stars will have to realign themselves, the weather catch up to the joke, and God will have to shake himself awake to attend the unraveling of the umbilical cord. Now they don't do this anymore, but when he's certain you're turning the right proper color, after he watches them smack you good to make you cry, he's free to return to his nap, and all is well again. The stars are back in place, the wind is calm. But if you come out of it alive, you can expect the water that didn't break to thunder in your veins to the moon-hungry sea every day of your life to the end. Say amen.
Amen.
Amen. Some of y'all are not old enough to remember, but I remember. After the Second World War, they had to continue experimenting with atomic weapons. And so, for a while, they did them out in the desert out there. But then they got the idea that loyal Americans were getting tired of that. So they took a little island and ran all the people off of it out south of Hawaii, called the Johnson Islands, and they started exploding them out there. And I came across a photograph of one, and my nose is running. Here it is. And it was sort of funny looking. The thing is that they were proud of themselves for doing this. And so they named every one of them. And they took photographs of the cloud. And I saw the cloud, a photograph of the cloud, and it had sort of the look of a baby, a baby just born with a cowl over its face. And so I wrote this poem. It's called Kingfish, and they called it Kingfish. Got to put my glasses on. Detonated 11/1/61. They quit doing this, what, in the early 60s? 63, 64. Johnson's Island near Hawaii. The brute's truth in those eyes that disappeared into long walking fires to look death in the face is now a fact of life. We have photographs. But proof was not enough. The flash one jump up on the murdering wind. So children born to that pose are ghosts of blindness anyway. We can always pat them back in place. We can pat them on their heads like cocker spaniels until the world goes all white around us too, until we wear in the sudden brightness the peeling look of rendered film. Listen, there is a hairline difference between shattered atoms and the spirit making waves, and it walks upright along the cracks. There is a hairline difference between a child's ghost on a nightmare choke chain and the end of time, and it martyrs itself continuously, because that is the difference, off the clock or on it, between a reason to live and a reason not to, between who gets to choose and who gets to lose, where there are no more photo opportunities. Amen. Thank you. This is the title poem. There's actually 3 title poems. But this is the one that resonates with me the most. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but I'm going to do it again. We're all going to get in on this. When I come to the line, the mustache so bad,
How bad is it?
you're all going to say, how bad is it, Glenn? Okay, all right. before your ground zero snake brain begins to crackle like fried lice, before your ego-obsessing ganglia start a dance to escape, before your buggety eyes are whipped by the heat to explode, blown wide open and closed forever, half a second before your body gives in to the cosmic violence, the thick hair above your beautiful lip will crisp down onto your face there. A tattoo your spirit will show off like a badge into the next reckoning. And the next, and the next. Wearing the harsh grin of the scar at every landing. A black mascara of the soul that will smile like a bottle of poison. A mustache so bad.
How bad is it, man?
A mustache so bad even God as you whiz by will have to sneer. Amen. Poor God. He has to take the blame for all this trash, doesn't he? I like the cosmos, and I like to write poems about the cosmos. And I like women's shoes. And I don't know if the fault's in the cosmos or in me. It's called Baby's Shoes. While time escapes waiting, jiggity winds turn the gods to dust and gas that clash with baby's shoes. Leather straps halfway up her calf pose her toes below. So time invents the mutant eye with a view. But baby blues see everything that matters. And she can tell you, and she will, how universal order falsifies her sorrow. It's simply the wind talking angles through wormholes that breathe back. It's merely say my word against yours, that her skin defies her keeping the shoes on, her pulse ticking away behind her knee. It's just the facts, man, but baby's shoes free her ruined colors from the god jaws of death and turn the country bones in her feet loose. And turn the country bones in her feet.
Amen.
Amen. So I was living in Bisbee, Arizona, and I was poor, and I was living 3 miles from Old Bisbee, which was where the mines were, out in a place where they surrounded this little valley with slag, and you had to drive through to get to it through these metal tubes. And so I started smoking marijuana and cigarettes and drinking wine. And for 3 days I didn't sleep. And when I came back to town, somebody loaned me a cigarette and I passed out. But I had written this poem. Enough is enough. Edging toward the losses of a self-control no longer mine to call upon when I need it most. My doomed soul transposes purest energy into aura after aura. Beleaguered saints dancing by the thousands on a deadly cactus thorn. I can't see the star blurbs Giddy moves fast enough, the corners of my eyes dotted up and blinkered by the storms in my blood. Revelation is one answer. Revelation is easy, without a doubt, no questions asked. A juju too slow to understand, too vivid to miss, too corny to believe. The big top circus lights go out. Time is not, repeat, is not on my side, no matter how the graceful lies or fancy explanations come to me. I am standing close to the rim's lip of eternity. I can feel a weight behind me, an ocean of space expanding straight away ahead, and I know for sure now my headache is not for nothing. I can hear my brain grinding facts down to meet the demand, but I'm only one among many. It's not important anymore. I am one too many, and the warehouses are full, converging forces breaking through the walls, propriety abhor. This is a dangerous reality, and I am as feeble as watered down beer. So if I work a game of tricks and silly wigs, if I whistle Dixie Mint, I must be drunk enough on the trumped up blues to meet the weakest heart valve head on. But if I can't eat slowly enough to anchor some kind of meaning against the wind tonight, I may sail off the way most intellectual insights do. One thought at a time, piecemeal. The muscles in my lips twitching. So cowardly, heaven appears as another fold in another dream I keep trying to remember. Heaven is waiting. The rocks to crumble under my best monkey toes as I try to hold on and let go at the same time. Too bad for choices, decisions, personal freedom. Too bad the bas relief of my rib cage days is adobe crust whipped loose, blind eye at the window. Too bad I am deluded every step, but I need to leave myself behind. Mnemonic scars glow at night, so they will haunt me into sadness. Death will be not quite so hard to take, my angel wings on fire, because the less I do, the less I have to forget. Okay, thank you. That's good. Let me have a drink of water. Here's water. Water. Am I doing all right?
Yeah.
Am I doing good? I like to read these poems. They satisfy something in me. Sometimes I get way beyond where I can figure it out. And I got a poem called Another Religious Experience. And if you're easy to embarrass, or if you're worried about God, you might want to turn your back and go outside or something. I like the devil too. Another religious experience. The devil seems to like me. He says it's my feet. When he comes out after dinner, he's a woman. An old woman with wrinkled lipstick. And she wants to sit on the floor and play around with my feet. She says it's for my soul. I doubt it, but I let her fondle the tiny bones anyway. I let her massage my arches and kiss my toes and hum her wicked anticipations. I won't let her in between my toes, though, and that makes her crazy enough. She giggles and flutters and cows. She twists like a snake laying eggs. And her treacherous pretensions make me laugh, the gummed up kind of trouble she can cause. In repetitious whisperings, the princess of darkness tells me nasty gossip on the Christ, how bad blood spilled on holy ground burns the earth, how the King of Kings likes to take it up the ass, his sand-packed desert heart one beat ahead of windy shadows broken into daydreams. She says the passing age is the dying child born of that tripartite union, of her and the king and his hungry son, in a back alley in paradise, out of wedlock, out of sight, under a stair by the garbage cans in heaven. She tells me evil is all the latest fashion now, and I hate it, she says. It makes my skin crawl. I remind her how God's water lets poor people urinate gold nuggets. And that cheers her up. She likes that one. That cheers her up. So it's obvious to me she's just another old man. A toothless with flashback acne, proud of his curves. He says my feet smell like hell, and I agree. So Michael wanted me to read this. It says a nice thing. I don't know where these damn poetry are. I have no idea. But they're fun to write. Called No Mystery. And I think I wrote this about my mother. But I've read it to, in the past, women that I've known. They thought it was about them. She's heard what she wants to hear. What she wants to hear, she's heard. The silhouette of her undiluted ego halos up around her like a dream, like the ghost of a sacrifice, and she stays exactly where she's been. Her heart murmurs little hesitations to her throat. Bubbles gurgle on her breath, and she tries to speak, but she can't. Her mind races with her pulse. Her deeper mind, exhausted, shrugs, and her hands pose in her lap, convinced she's dead. But the silence won't betray her feelings, and her eyes can hide away. The mystery is her smile's reward would be enough if she could see it, but you know she can't. She won't. You know the time is never right and never will be. You could love her until your feet swell with the effort. And there she'd sit, her perfect dimples in storage in the vault of a face that allows no fear. You could make yourself over in her image, and her ice and marble eyes would lie to you about it. She couldn't be bothered to pay attention. She can't touch you, or won't, or try to tell you why you wait. She knows. Each frozen beat of her heart sends that message, her terrible eyes restrained to burst her spirit, that she does know your life's at stake here, and that she has nothing to give you. She can't appease the hunger your electric presence implies to you. To her, she can see the distance you keep and what that means to her, but she can't tell you she's tried. And so you're left to stand by awkwardly the way men do at funerals, not quite waiting for the service to be over, but uncertain how to stay or when to leave. Thanks. So, how long have I been up here, you think?
25 minutes, I think.
20, 25 minutes? So I'm going to start a sort of, I thought I'd read about 30, 35 minutes, and then we'd take a little break, and if you wanted to buy some books, I'd sell you a book. I love to sell these damn books. So if you want it, they make good doorstops too. And maybe a Christmas present if you wanted to. And you could even read them, you know, you might even read the damn thing. So, but I'm going to sort of wind it down with 3 or 4 more poems, and then we'll go over there. And then if any of you hang around, I'll read you some earlier poems that I wrote in these other books that are out of print, that I'm trying to convince my my publisher to combine into a selected poems and bring out sometime next year. He has an idea for a cover, and I don't like it. He wants my picture on the damn thing on the front, and I do not want my picture on the front of the damn book. I just don't, that's, forward that I can convince him otherwise, and that I can find a cover that will befit the nature of the poems. So here's a little poem called Into the Silence. I don't like to write poems about poetry. A lot of poets write a lot of poems about poetry. There is writing about poets, but it's sort of like eating yourself. Well, here's the poem. Into the Silence. Writing poems about poetry is like feeding an ulcer. Given time, it will deaden your feelings into metaphors of ash. The ravens will fly away without looking back, and the coroner will begin to dust up for evidence while she can. The meat on hooks swings twisted byways through the icy air, muscle protein in the works. The coldest truth, the weight on your heart. But writing poems about poetry is like making a stew from half a cow and feeding it to other cows. Stagger on wobbly legs, slobber together, because writing poems about poetry will blind you to the sound of your own voice, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, writing poems about poetry will have you drooling your words into the fire that eats itself. The ashes will fly up like momentary blackbirds into the silence. Take that. Take that. So, Rembrandt spent 63, 4, 5, 6 years. Hundreds and hundreds of paintings. Lots of self-portraits. And he sort of travelogued his own image through them all. So that when he's 21, he looks like, and he likes to dress up in Oriental garb and just dress up. And because one of the things they like to do is show off how they could paint materials, how they could paint fur and paint sable, for instance, and paint silk and paint metal and paint wood. And they like to show off how they could do this and make it look real, make it come alive. So toward the end of his life, Rembrandt did this one painting. And he's staring straight at you. Straight at you. And he's wearing that little hat that he wore. And there's some kind of image up in the corner of some hook-nosed face. And he's looking you right in the eye. He's looking you right in the eye. And he's laughing aloud. You can hear it. He's laughing at you. And he's laughing about it, how this life is gone. Self-portrait, 1669. Laughing that time is in a hurry against him, Rembrandt van Rijn laughs at you and me too. His ugly-fied nose, a carny outlaw, meant to scare the pants off the ghost in his eyes, opening the lines in his face so you can almost hear his low country cackle and feel his body heat. So you can clear the way to see for yourself his look of triumph. Spoils of the war with himself, the red and yellow light wins for keeping him alive. Amen. Amen. That's what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, you're supposed to remember these damn poems and remember who wrote them and keep reading these damn poems until you die and try to write better poems. That's what you're supposed to do. And Charabella's supposed to look at Rembrandt and try to paint do better paintings than Rembrandt did. And remember what he did. So, amen. So that's the idea behind all that. And he did it too. Man, that guy was cool. Okay, so I was in Bisbee, Arizona, and I was the god of poets. I've been the god of poets a lot of times, and a lot of times in Austin. It's a bunch of shit, of course, bullshit. But people would gossip and say, oh, he thinks he's the king of poets. As if there is a king. And so I was in this little town up in the mountains in Arizona, in Bisbee, Arizona. And once more, a person I knew fairly well scragged himself. That's an old New York word for killed himself. And I found out about it looking over Tammy Dietz's shoulder as she read about it in the little local newspaper, and it choked me up. I couldn't breathe. Just another person had killed himself in Bisbee, Arizona. And sometimes you got to thinking that that's what they came to Bisbee for, just to kill themselves. And so Tammy tried to help me out. She thought I was going to kill myself. Then she tried to help me out, and I shoot her off, and then I had bad feelings about that. So I called her up and I apologized. So this is an apology for Tammy Deeds. Please, Tammy, don't you be upset if I cough up more than I ate. The wizards of love march on the tombstone in my heart, and they choke the weeds there for nettles. That's all it is. And because I follow their lead, I can waltz the vultures down. I can stare at death like any mystic will. And because I follow their lead, built up toxins rumble through me at odd hours, visions I can eat on a stick but can't swallow. Okay, I'm just going to read one more. Called Roll It Away. This is another wrestling match I had with God. Roll it away. And this is the last one. And unless somebody wants to hear me read a few more, after I sell tons of books. The gods of chaos rattle cold metallic air down the back of my neck and blindside my karma. My fingernails begin to itch, and my skin erupts with a miracle dose of my blotchy inner life. My out-muscled soul curls into a ball, and the dung beetles roll it away. I've forgotten more than I remember, but guess what? I remember everything again. It's not a curse, but the payback channels a gaggle of stars, and the divine wrinkles home a fractal reality that speaks for itself and tells me to stop. Thank you all very much.